Yo, what's up YouTube? It's J Dean, Dean of Music, and I'm back with another video. And today I'm here to talk about a project that only real Cole fans know, or if you just overall a deep fan of music and appreciate mixtapes. But I'm here to talk about the first Truly Yours EP, which isn't available on any streaming services. You can listen to it on YouTube, but it's a classic, and I want to talk about it. Feeling godly when I walk through the building. I got it all from the confidence escaping my feeling. It's time to ball. All right, Truly Yours. The first one, I believe it's 3 Truly Yours, but the first Truly Yours to me is 5 songs on there. All 5 songs to me are like 9 out of 10s or 10 out of 10s. It's a perfect EP in my opinion. And this was released because Born Sinner was supposed to come out early in the year of 2013, and it was ended up being pushed back to June 25th of 2013 when Kanye released Yeezus, I believe. But it was supposed to come out earlier in the year. The first like kind of official single that wasn't really a single for Born Sinner was Miss America. So it got pushed back, and J. Cole, since it got pushed back, J. Cole put out 5 songs on that Piff that became the cult classic called Truly Yours. Now let's get into it, right? The first song is Can I Holla At You? And this samples Lauryn Hill's song on the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. That song is Zion. He just chops it up and gets the part of the song where it's not Lauryn really singing, but Lauryn speaks at the beginning. Lauryn Hill speaks at the beginning of the beat, but then he chooses a section that's in the beat that really Lauryn really isn't on, and he just raps over that. Now this song is about, the first verse is about a childhood friend saying it's been a long time, he just want to holla at him, it's still a lot of love. And then the second verse is about a stepfather. Now, if you know about J. Cole has not ever shied away about rapping about his stepfather and how his stepfather raised him, and what his stepfather put him and his mom through. J. Cole actually says in the song, 13 years I knew you more than my real pops. Put me on the real rappers that killed cops like Pac. So stepfather has some positive influences in his life, but he also says in the song that his stepfather used to physically abuse him as well, like he was his real father. J. Cole's stepfather put him through a lot and put his mom through a lot. That's the second verse of Can I Holla At You? And then at the end of the verse, J. Cole is kind of in this angry state where he was like, tell that punk don't call me, even if but he said he would still try to holla at him, like fighting wise. That's the second verse on Can I Holla At You? And the third verse is about another childhood friend that switched up on Cole because, you know, time passes, people outgrow each other, people have different goals, and they don't speak, they outgrow each other. One might be angry towards your success because they didn't become successful in their life and they feel like they should be where you at. So that's the third verse. Can I Holla At You? That samples Lauryn Hill's Zion, fire song. Crunch Time, right? First of all, I just want to say this too. This released in 2013. I was in my sophomore year in high school. I was 15 going on 16. And anytime I listen to these songs, because I still have these songs on my phone because I downloaded the mixtape or EP off that Piff, because you can't listen to it anywhere on streaming services. But it's still on YouTube, but I have the original files that were uploaded to that Piff. So every time I listen to any of these songs, it brings me back to taking the metro bus or the public transportation bus to school every morning, and I would just have these songs on repeat before I went to school and while I was coming home from school. So I just want to say this EP right here holds a special place in my heart, nostalgic wise, because of my teenage years. I played the hell out of this EP because I was really anticipating the release of Born Sinner, because this is when I became a heavy Cole fan. So I was really anticipating the release of Born Sinner, and I was ecstatic when this came out because I was like, oh, this is how Born Sinner is going to sound. So I was really ecstatic when he dropped Truly Yours, and I might have played every one of these songs more than 100 times for real. But anyway, Crunch Time. Now this song is about struggling to survive in this world financially or just mentally, for real. That's basically the whole song. Crunch Time is about trying to survive and you feeling like you don't have enough time left to get to the goals that you want to achieve. That's why it's called crunch time. And the song always starts off where it's like it's the hi-hat going dun, 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 and then Cole go tick, and then the beat drops. And if you can't guess that right, you ain't listened to this song enough. But the second verse is about a struggling artist, and he says on the second verse, looking for samples to put a nigga on MTVs. But the second verse is about a struggling artist, and he's talking about how his whole life is being dedicated to making it out, and there's just so much going on around him. Because he said he says in the song, tired about your lady, hollering about your baby, you need this and need that, but all I need is peace and quiet, maybe some feedback on these raps, because labels ain't hollering and niggas ain't down low. Nobody see your vision, you walk around blindfolded. So as a struggling artist as myself, I relate to that more now than when I was a teenager, because as a teenager I just liked the concept and that it was kind of a story. But that's crunch time, and one of my favorite lines on that song is the first verse when he says, mama, I'm tired of crying, just lie to me one more time, because it's crunch time. 10 out of 10 song again. Now let's go on to Rise Above, which is my second favorite sample on this EP, and this one got kind of like a deeper tone to it. The first verse is about a woman that caught her boyfriend cheating on her, which, you know, it goes on a lot in these days of time. And she did her investigation. She calls her friend up, and her friend tells her like, yeah, he been messing with this girl, and she hangs up on her, right? So now the woman has got her daughter with her. She puts her daughter in a car, and she's going through all these thoughts. She like picking out Mr. Right for what? And then she's going through all these thoughts. So now her daughter's in the car. She's driving to her boyfriend's house to confront him while the daughter's in the car. And Cole ends the verse off with saying, she gonna see it all. Her daughter gonna witness it all tonight. Damn. Saying, and then it goes right into the hook. And then Cole is like, we gotta, basically saying like, we gotta rise above all the bullshit, because that's bullshit. She should have never had her daughter in the car. She has to be better than that. She has to rise above that situation, right? And you know, when you do that with your children in the car, it creates a cycle, and it traumatizes the child, and then the child grows up, end up doing the same thing as you. It becomes a cycle. So we have to rise above that to stop these cycles, right? And then the second verse is about a struggling teacher that has the waitress on the side because teaching doesn't pay enough, right? While the woman is teaching, she realizes that she lost a lot of hope in the youth. She lost a lot of hope in the youth, and she found one student in this class that reminded her of her brother, but then she realizes the mother isn't fit for the child, and so she has lost all hope for the youth. And now she's in clubs, she's in bars drinking, cause she feel like Cole says, 6 years in college down the drain, drinking, trying to drown the pain, party with her girls, feeling sorry for the world, cause ain't no hope for the youth. Well, ain't that the truth? When all your role models either rapping or they hoop, damn. And as a kid myself, that a lot of my role models was either rappers. Well, not really. I didn't really look up to basketball players, even though I watched a lot of basketball when I was a kid, but it was mostly rappers, because that's who you saw a lot in my times of being a kid, was rappers, because that's who was on BET, that's who was on Rhapsody, and that's who I ended up seeing the most, really. So it's a sad reality that, you know, a lot of younger kids look up to rappers when rappers really shouldn't be your role models at all. It brings me back to that Tupac quote where Tupac says a kid told him he was his role model, and Tupac said, I'm not your role model. I shouldn't be your role model. People like Malcolm X should be your role model. That's that Black Panther that was in Pac. You know what I'm saying? So that's Rise Above, and that's why Cole wrote that second verse for Rise Above, because he realizes the youth, she lost so much hope in the youth, but she has to rise above that negative feeling so she can inspire the youth to be better. Rise Above, another 10 out of 10 song. Now, Tears for ODB. One of my favorite Cole songs of all time. It's my favorite Cole song on this album. I had to play Tears of ODB in my lifetime at least probably 500 times. If I had my old computer, I could go back and look at how many times I played it on iTunes and show you how many plays you did. But I had to play this song at least 500 times in my life. I love Tears for ODB. I really wish that Cole would have released Truly Yours on like a CD or a vinyl or something. If anybody from Cole's team is watching this, Ebe, or anybody that's on Dreamville, I don't know how you can find a way to clear any of these samples and release this on vinyl. I will gladly purchase to get this on vinyl so I can get the physical version of this, even though I have the digital version, but I would love to get a physical version of Truly Yours. But anyway, Tears for ODB, my favorite song on the entire EP, one of my favorite J. Cole songs of all time. Also, I want to mention that the first Truly Yours has like a slower, darker tone towards it. It's not like the second Truly Yours, which was kind of more upbeat, but the first Truly Yours is more thought-provoking stories, more songwriting. It isn't as beat, like bass heavy as the second Truly Yours, but the first Truly Yours, 10 out of 10, man. But anyway, Tears for ODB, right? This Tears for ODB sounds like it really could have fitted on Born Sinner, and I'm gonna explain why, right? Like really early in the sequencing. You don't know what sequencing is. It's just early in the track list. It sounds like that because Cole even mentions like the darkness that he came from and how he was kind of a Born Sinner on Tears for ODB. He started off Tears for ODB, drug-induced poetry. What's the use? Strung out from that drug abuse. Oh, woe is me. 80s baby, so I know my pops was getting high. In the 90s, me and mama barely getting by. 2000s, I was concentrating more on getting fly, getting riches, getting bitch to get the shit I couldn't buy. You know my story. You know the allegory. I was set from heaven with a set of horns. I better warn y'all. That right there is the whole base of Truly Yours for real. So this song really sounds like it was supposed to be on Truly Yours and probably was on the earlier versions of Truly Yours. I don't know why it was scrapped, or I don't know if they couldn't get the sample cleared, or he felt like it just didn't fit Truly Yours, or it was the earlier version of Truly Yours. I have no idea. I really wish Tears for ODB had got a worldwide released on CD at the time of Born Sinner, but hey, he took it off for a reason. But I still love this song, right? The second verse is about Cole wanting to reach a higher height, but doesn't know if he ever get there. Because he says, I never know how sitting comfy on that Oprah seat feels. We on most wanted posters, be real. We the forgotten souls, bottom of the totem pole. Some people fled, some people dead. Some people said they sold their souls. So he's just basically saying like, I never know how being on that Oprah seat feels because I come from this. I'm a Born Sinner. This is what I was intended to do. I'm a Born Sinner. I should be able to sin all my life, and well, not I should be able to, but I'm destined to sin all my life and all of this stuff, right? And I think it's called Tears for ODB because that's what ODB had a trouble with. So it's a beautiful song. If you never heard Tears from ODB by J. Cole on Truly Yours, please listen to that song. It's an amazing J. Cole song and one of my favorite J. Cole songs of all time. And I was in high school. I used to like flip my schedule over and put it in, you know, that little sleeve on the binder. I used to write stuff in there, and I wrote like the chorus on like that paper because I used to draw stuff, and it was just my way of expressing myself. Like I would draw stuff on that cover and write like little quotes and things that I loved on there. And then I wrote on that, at any chance I'ma take it, rather die before I fake it. They say life is what you make it, but I'm just trying to make it. That still relates to me a lot. Let me repeat that. At any chance I'ma take it, rather die before I fake it. They say life is what you make it, but I'm just trying to make it. Straight up. Salute to Cole. But now we got the last song on the EP. It's only 5 songs. It's short and sweet. It's only 17 minutes. But Stay. Now, it's a story with Stay, right? If you haven't heard it and you listen to Nas, then you heard the beat. Because Nas has a song that has the same beat. Both are produced by No ID because it's the same beat. No ID was working with J. Cole in the earlier stages of him being signed to Rockefeller or Rock Nation. No, he was signed to Rock Nation. I'm sorry. No ID was working early with J. Cole in the early stages of Rock Nation, and you can find like little behind the scenes clips of J. Cole recording and working in No ID studio, where they at first showed that Honda that they was driving for the fall off trunk sale. They showed that where they were showing that Honda. He was driving to No ID studio in that Honda. But No ID was also working with Nas at this time for production on Life is Good. And that's why Stay has the parentheses, the J. Cole version has Stay in parentheses, it says 2009. They're both the same exact beat, but Nas officially put the song out because it was originally first his beat. But Nas didn't purchase the beat right away after recording it. So No ID didn't think Nas was going to use the song. So when J. Cole heard the beat, he was like, yo, let me record to that. I like this beat. No ID was like, fuck it. Nas ain't purchased the beat. So J. Cole ended up recording his version to the song, which is what we get on Truly Yours. Fast forward, J. Cole is asking No ID to so he could put it on the Sideline Story, because everybody know J. Cole's story. He was kind of put on a shelf, because he couldn't produce that song that the radios can play. But he was calling No ID and was like, yo, that Stay beat, I want to put that on my first album. And then he was like, nah, Nas is back interested in buying the beat. Long story short, Nas ended up buying the beat, and J. Cole couldn't put his version out until Nas put his version out. And if you don't know anything about music and purchasing beats, you can record to somebody, you can record to the same beat that somebody did if they didn't purchase the beat, right? But when the other rapper purchased the beat, you cannot put your version out until they put their version out. And if they put their version out for commercial use and for monetary value, you have to put yours out for free with no monetary value. And that's what J. Cole did with Stay 2009. I just gave a little backstory, and I'm gonna tell you the differences between J. Cole's Stay and Nas Stay. But now that I just broke that all down, because J. Cole recorded his version in 2009, the first verse is about a person that has to go to court to face a charge. So he's worrying if the judge is going to make him have to stay in jail. Cole did a great job about finding different ways about using the stay in different places and using the sample to perfectly bleed into the verse, which Nas did as well. They both two completely different artists, but both used the beat in a very similar way. Both did that, and they both didn't rap a chorus. They just let the sample play and the melody play as the chorus, right? And then also in the first verse, Cole goes into a different part of the same story about the dude going to court and having to face a charge, but now he's worried about his girl that has his kid. Since he has to go to jail, now he's worrying about if the girl is going to stay loyal to him while he's in jail, or is she going to leave and then go to somebody else. So the verses are kind of, in J. Cole's version, the verses are kind of broken up in 8-bar stories. So the first 8 bars is about him worrying about the case and if the judge will have him stay. The second 8 bars is worrying about if the girl that he's with is going to stay loyal to him while he's in jail. And then the last part of the verse, J. Cole also throws in how he has hoes and when he has sex with them, he can't be loyal to them. So after the sex, he leaves and he can't stay. So that's the first verse from J. Cole. The first verse from Nas, and Nas' song is also different because it starts off different. Nas has this little piano section that plays before the actual sample on Stay comes in. Cole, the sample comes right in. Nas has more, it's a piano sample then the Stay sample. And then what I also like that J. Cole did, that I only noticed because I make music, J-Dean, look him up on Spotify. But I only noticed this because I make music Cole says at the end of his verse, he says, yeah, that's the one. Meaning that it probably took him a lot of tries to get the perfect tonality and to get the perfect emotion out of that first verse. So when you say after you record something and you feel it after you finish, you be like, yeah, that was the one. So that's why he says, yeah, that's the one. If you ever get to hear that song, right? And the second verse to me isn't as deep on Cole's side as the first verse. But the second verse is about Cole coming back to his hometown and how he gets the inspiration in his beats so he can leave coming back to his hometown and getting the inspiration there so he can leave and go back to New York, and he can't stay there anymore. But then he also says it's hard to stay because his mother is still there, all his homies are still there, his family is still there. So even though he wants to leave Fayetteville, it's hard for him to leave, and he can't, but then realizes he still can't stay, right? And then on the last part of the verse, he leaves to go to New York, and then he says, to make my dreams, this is where I'll stay. So that's Truly Yours. But let's go back to the Nas version of Stay. First verse, my bad. The first verse on Nas song is about a woman that has a lot going on. She got a dude. She moving around a lot. And Nas didn't break it up into like 3 different stories like J. Cole did. Nas had one verse that was one story and another verse that was a completely another story. But Nas' first verse is about a woman that got a lot going on, and he really isn't impressed by her looks or what she got going on. But Nas is like, hey, she got good sex, I'ma stay. But you know, Nas bounced and did a lot of multis and very descriptive on how he wrote his verses. And then the second verse is personally my favorite verse that Nas did on the song. And Nas is talking about how he has beef with somebody, right? The person that he has beef with is real beef. Like he said, I want to kill you, I want to hurt you, I want to do all of these things, right? But when the person goes to jail, now Nas feels some type of way. And now Nas is having this inner battle with himself like, damn, I got beef with this person, I don't like this person, but why do I feel some type of way that he went to jail? And then Nas slowly realizes like, oh, I feel this way because I'm successful, right? And he wants this person to stay around so he can see Nas be successful in misery. And also a great quote that Nas said on Stay is he says, some say hating is confused admiration. Amazing quote, right? So after Nas reveals that, he says that I need you to stay because I need you to see me win it. That's powerful, man. You hate a dude, you got real beef with a dude, but him being around drives you because you want him to see you become this great thing, and you are still young, you're still healthy, you're doing all these great things. You want him to see that, so you don't want him going to jail because he won't be able to see you in a great light. Nas is a great writer, man. A great writer. I can do multiple videos on Nas songs and how deep they can get. But that's the differences between Nas' Stay and J. Cole Stay. I know I went in a whole different direction, but Truly Yours released in 2013. I don't know exactly what day it was released on in 2013, but I know this was released, and then Power Trip was released probably like a month after, I think around Valentine's Day in 2013. So I was very excited for Born Center. Very excited for Born Center. So that's what artists used to do back in the day, even in the early 2000s. It would be a mixtape before the album came out to build up hype and to build up anticipation for the album that was coming up. And at this time, J. Cole was batting like, I would say 900 if you watch baseball, because he had the warm up, he had Friday Night Lights, and then now it was Truly Yours, which were mixtapes. But I just went through Truly Yours by J. Cole, released in 2013. If you never heard any of the Truly Yours, please listen to them. I believe it's 3. It's 1, it's 2. I know 2 for sure because 2 has the Kenny Lofton song, which is another one of my favorite songs. And it has the if you watch RDC, the first beat where he samples Lauryn Hill again. RDC used to use that at the end of their videos, that beat. If you watch RDC, you know what beat I'm talking about. It's from a J. Cole song, but it's the sample. Nothing really matters. It's just sped up. But please listen to Truly Yours. It's on YouTube. It's only 17 minutes. It doesn't take that much time to listen to it, but I promise you, if you love J. Cole and you only heard his albums and never heard of the Truly Yours, please listen to it. It's amazing. Dreamville, or anybody on Dreamville, if y'all watching this video, please find a way to get the samples clear so I can get a physical release and get a vinyl or a CD. I'll take the CD of 1 and 2. But anyway, it's been J. Dean, Dean the Music. See you next video.